Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is the bigger reason for being sick. I think the last time I did a Mystic Minute video about this, I was actually sick, and I'm always surprised when I get sick because I don't think of myself as ever getting sick. So I'm going, oh, I'm sick. I don't feel well. What do I do now? Because I forget about things like aspirin or Tylenol. Go around with a headache all day long, and then suddenly I could take a Tylenol. However, there was this time when I was sick. It was a very big deal. I was making a big commitment to my business. I was really going to move forward, and then suddenly I got sick, and at first they thought it was cancer, and then it turned out to be something more benign, but they still wanted to do surgery because their approach is always to amputate and cauterize the wound, and I had to fight that, and it all unfolded to being a bigger and more profound experience than I could have possibly realized going into it. It wasn't as simplistic to say I needed to spend some time focusing on myself, because often that's what illness really is. It means you've been running around and your body wants you to pay attention to it. Take a nap, rest and take care of yourself, take some airborne. But when you have bigger, profound things that could be possibly life-threatening, it's really interesting because there's always this space between the symptoms and the test and the diagnosis. There's always room for miracles. When they were doing the test to see whether or not this thing was going to be cancer, it was a really interesting manifestation because I was looking at some mindsets that I had. I had thought that I was going to get to this place in my life and I would either die or declare bankruptcy or something. There was just like this crazy thinking, and I suddenly went, what if I don't die? Had to reshift my perspective to, well, if I stick around, what do I do now? And ultimately, one of the lessons that I learned during that period of time was to take care of my body differently. I learned to eat different foods that caused different reactions, and it put me on a path of physical health that I hadn't been mindful of before. My main food group had been sugar and caffeine. Obviously, the biggest lesson when you get sick is about you as consciousness and your relationship with your body, and how are you going to take care of yourself differently than whatever led up to that experience. The other thing that happens when you face life or death experiences is it does give you greater emotional depth, and it does bring into clarity what is important, and it also shows up, who your friends are. It was interesting for me during that time, the people who wanted to come in and rescue, but who only wanted to rescue in a specific way. So they were offended when I didn't want to have surgery. And, who knows what goes through other people's minds. But it's really interesting when you're the center of the circle of illness and the people on the outside want to make it about them. This happens a lot with people who get cancer, and then they end up comforting all their loved ones who are racked with pain and guilt and sadness. And it's like, wait, this is the person who has cancer. And also with the person who's helping that person who has cancer, it's amazing how they suddenly have to caretake other people when their focus is caretaking the person who's ill. And what it gives you is an opportunity to look at the experience, but also look at life from a much bigger perspective. So here's the other thing about being consciousness. And as consciousness, you create your physical form and all your experiences, down to the smallest detail. So you create a body that may or may not be healthy, or that you create this experience of illness. And even as I start to say that now, I can hear people getting outraged about, what do you mean I created this cancer? As consciousness, you're creating the experience. As physical body, personality, you might be reacting to the experience. And here's the opportunity to respond instead of react, which gives you a bigger perspective and can give you a different outcome. It might be about having a relationship with your body that's different than before. It might be about having a relationship with your loved ones that's different before. You might be on your way out. You might be on your way forward to a whole different experience. As consciousness, whatever is going on is actually ultimately benevolent. It might not feel benevolent in the trauma of the moment. Just notice which part of you is having the feeling. A lot of times people get sick because they've been doing so much for other people and they actually resist getting taken care of. And suddenly they have to let other people take care of them. Sometimes people are operating their vehicle as if they were indestructible 20-year-olds, and now that they're later in life, they need to treat their vehicle more like a classic car. Many of us don't realize that we are not really appreciating and savoring the moment until these things come up, and it just brings into focus the importance of creating moments of joy, of being here in the now, in the present moment, in interaction with each other, and the preciousness of all of that. A gift of experiencing your illness or someone else's illness from the perspective of consciousness is there isn't the ethics or good or badness about it, because often there's a feeling that if you got sick, you somehow failed. You weren't maintaining your health right, or you're something less than because you are ill. Consciousness just views it as another experience, and when you look at it, it's a very enriching experience. It enriches your relationships with yourself and other people. I knew someone a few years ago, an older man who was diagnosed with, I think it was colon cancer, and he had the most amazing appreciation for the experience. He really took it moment by moment and allowed what was happening to unfold. And he appreciated the people in the medical profession that were helping him. He appreciated his loved ones showing up. There wasn't this sense of, I need to fight this cancer. I need to fight this experience. His energy didn't go that way at all. It was just a lovely acceptance of what is. And he just went through all the things that they recommended without questioning. Oh, sure, I'll do chemotherapy. Oh, sure, I'll do this, that, and the other. And came out the other side with it. And I found this a profound experience because I have opinions about chemotherapy. I have opinions about Western medicine. And it revealed to me that when you experience something as consciousness, you're savoring the experience. You're savoring the moment. Even something that I would find unsavory is worth savoring is consciousness. It unfolds to a bigger experience than you can imagine. So whatever's going on in your life, if you let yourself have the bigger picture, the perspective as consciousness, it opens up possibilities that you could never have imagined. If you like these videos, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I do these videos a couple times a week. I also have a free weekly e-zine and blog. I do a free weekly podcast and radio show. I do meetups around the Puget Sound in Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, University Place, Lakewood, and Olympia. And if you want to know more about navigating life as consciousness, how to operate in the bigger picture, how to regain your sense of purpose and passion for life, go to joan-newcomb.com and look at my coaching programs. So go to joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another couple days with another Mystic Minute.